Singer-songwriter Elliott Murphy embraces his music on his own terms. I'm John Bowden from Rock History Music. In the 70s, I had a much older musical friend who introduced me to this singer-songwriter, and he told me, he says, you got to listen to this guy. He's like the next big thing. He's been compared to Bob Dylan. It was Elliott Murphy. The album he lent me was Murphy's very first, Aquashow. It was released in 1973. Last of the Rock Stars was the first song on that album. It was one of the singles. My first reaction was the fact that my musical palette it seemed to be opening, expanding listening to this song. I loved his rawness. I loved his lyrics. I just liked the way he sang. Rolling Stone magazine actually reviewed his debut album along with Springsteen's second album, The Wild, The Innocent, and The E Street Shuffle, and gave them both sort of a Dylan tag. While of course Springsteen became huge, Elliott Murphy had a few bad bounces. Well, more than a few. Though his music was very consistent, he never got to the level where, let's just say, he really deserved to be. Now, a month ago, I Googled him and found out he was alive and well and living actually quite successfully in Paris. Here's part one of our 6-part series talking to the great Elliott Murphy. The first thing I told him was when I saw the album Aquashow with his brother Matthew in the background, I remember looking at Elliott thinking, I want to be that guy.
It's interesting you said that I want to be that guy because I always say I want to be the guy who writes my songs. Even though I am that guy.
Yeah.
But that guy is certainly, his attitude of life is better than my own personal one. But in a way, you know, the music business, I think survival is almost success in the music business, you know? What is that Chinese saying? You stand by the river long enough and you'll see the bodies of your enemies floating by.
I've never heard that.
Kind of been my story. And, you know, every once in a while I have an epiphany and I just look back and I say, you know, in the final analysis, maybe things worked out exactly as I wanted them to work out. I always liked Europe. I came here in 1971 before I ever recorded Aquashow or anything else and was singing on the streets, and I was just really taken with the lifestyle here and the sense of history all around you. And this is where I've lived now for 28 years, longer than I lived in New York.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, in those early days, you're just so ambitious and you're looking behind you to see who's coming up. And there was a bunch of, in this early 70s, there was certainly a bunch of new singer-songwriters, you know, myself and Bruce Springsteen and a lot of others. And we were kind of, you know, no one knew who was going to end up on top or whatever. And you don't even enjoy, I have enjoyed much more in retrospect, my early kind of acclaim and success than I did at the time. It just made me kind of anxious and nervous.
Yeah.
But I think I am more comfortable in my own skin. You know, a big change came. I think I might have said this in the movie, but you know, I stopped playing for the music business. I started playing for my fans. And that's really, you know, when in the final analysis, that's what you have. That's what keeps you going, you know. Mm-hmm. And certainly they've kept me going over here.
Well, having said that, and it's a question I ask everyone, it's an old question, but when you were recording Aquashow, I mean, knowing what you know now, would you have done anything different? Would you have whispered anything different in your own ear back then?
Yes, I would have. Patience, Elliott, patience. You know, my situation, you know, I think I jumped around too much. I jumped around a lot of managers. I jumped around from a lot of record companies. I mean, my first 4 albums were on 3 different labels. Mm-hmm. Aquashow was Polydor. Then Lou Reed brought me to RCA, did 2 albums there. Then I went to Columbia. And that's not a good thing. Because the people at the label really don't get to know you as an artist. And, you know, you're always starting from zero, whereas you look at it, you think, well, you know, anyone can do a better job than Polydor because they were brand new in America at that point. Mm-hmm. And then you think, well, Columbia is kind of the gold standard of record companies, you know, so they will. But it's all just people, and it's all just about the relationships with the people. And so I didn't give that enough time to nurture.
When I first saw Tom Petty, I don't think I'd listened to you for about a year at that point. Might have been 1980 when I first actually saw Tom Petty. I remember going, oh yeah, it's Elliott Murphy. And then it's almost like that I was in a room, I wasn't, and he turned around going, that's not Elliott Murphy, wait a minute. You know, I said, he stole his look. Wait a minute. He didn't, but there was just similarities, of course, in the look.
I just miss his music so much and him making music. You know, he was a real true believer to rock and roll. And everything he did, he never lost touch with that. I only met Tom one time. Mm-hmm. And apropos to what you were saying, someone called me up back in the late 70s, I guess it was, and says, listen, there's a guy playing at the Bottom Line tonight, which was a club in New York, opening for Roger McGuinn. And he looks just like you. You should come down and see him. I think Roger McGuinn was on Columbia at the time, and that's why I went down, saw him from Columbia. And I saw Tom play, and he did American Girl. And Roger McGuinn also played American Girl, because he had covered it. Mm-hmm. And I went backstage afterwards and met him very briefly and just told him that was a great, great song. And the thing that struck me about him was he had this Southern demeanor, you know. He was from Florida. A little bit like Elvis, you know, or something. Yeah. Thank you very much, you know. And yeah, I don't know if there would have been room for two blonde rock stars.
For more information on Elliott Murphy, go to elliottmurphy.com. Also, he has a great film, a documentary on his life. It's one of the best documentaries I've seen in quite a few years, called The Second Act of Elliott Murphy. You can stream it. There'll be links in the description of this video, or else you can buy it from his website. Again, there'll be links in the description of the video. This is a 6-part series. We're going to talk about Billy Joel, his relationship with Lou Reed. He has an interesting take on Lou Reed and his long friendship with Bruce Springsteen. I'm John Bowden. Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. Remember, we have a swag store now. We just reloaded the whole store with a lot of t-shirts and mugs and things you might want to have to celebrate rock history music, and we thank you so much for the support. So share our videos, subscribe to our channel, and comment on them. We always appreciate it. We read all the comments. So I'm John Bowden from Rock History Music.